brought it. You brought it.
Oh,
You connect
thank you.
us. You connect us with things and places and people and opportunities and ideas. And that just seems to be, we were talking about self-awareness. That's just got to be a powerful part of your self-awareness, that you have that magic that connects us. And I'm grateful that you found that and that you share it. Will you talk a little bit about what it means to be, some of this place, from this place? What does Tucson mean to you?
Yeah, that's a great question. To me, it means family. It means connections. We always talk about the fact that Tucson is a small town of 1 million people, right? My brother always says the saying, one long high school hallway. And I truly believe that. One of the reasons I would probably speak too much in Breakfast Club or organizations is I really wanted to connect folks. If I'm experiencing or seeing things or meeting incredible leaders or folks in the community or entrepreneurs, boy, you should get to know them too. And wouldn't it be interesting if we collaborated and did things together? And I think that's always kind of been my theme, whether I was a small business owner myself or running the Tucson Hispanic Chamber or in some of my new roles. It's really, how do I connect folks? And in this case, I'm in a statewide role in an elected position I've been appointed to, and not enough of Southern Arizona knows about that statewide role. So
let's talk about that, because
Sure.
I think it's really powerfully important. And you cannot have a discussion about the future of our community without having a realization of the engines that drive everything that happens in that regard, including the intentions of how we get there.
And I think that's a great way to describe it, the engines that drive. Whether I was a gas station owner, which I was here years and years ago, or a business broker, when I ran into challenges or I was looking for opportunities, I'd always try to figure out, how does it work? What's the system? Who's here? Who's there? And there's so much activity happening in our state. In my case, I was appointed by Governor Ducey just 7 weeks ago, to the Arizona Corporation Commission. Why that's important and people need to know what it is it's driving the engine of regulation on utilities, electrical, water, gas, wastewater, railroad, pipeline, business and corporation. So much impact, and impacting families and citizens throughout the state. Most people and friends have patted me on the back, said, congratulations, what is that? And
Right.
not having an awareness. But as I've said before, people can watch and see on the website decisions and actions being made, whether it's through the Arizona Corporation Commission, I'm on a 5-member board, or it's Tucson City Council, or it's your Congress people. We need to be paying attention and know how we plug in and how the engine runs.
Talk a little bit about the Arizona Corporation Commission. I know you're new to it and you're still learning, but it's really a very robust, thriving, contemporary mechanism. We were talking in the first hour about shifting. This is helping shift us from there to next and the future of Arizona. I think a lot of people might wonder, does Phoenix drive the next of Arizona, or is Tucson going to have a little say in this coming forward?
Good
and how
question.
can the intention of all of us play a role in helping you help us get to that next, and not have it be a Phoenix next, but have it be an us next?
Yeah, I think it's an excellent question. So from an Arizona Corporation Commission perspective, we're dealing with the here and now, water infrastructure, wires, pipelines, and so on. But we're definitely talking about the future. So if there is going to be continued incredible population growth in Arizona, in Maricopa County, in rural Arizona, in southern Arizona, you've got to have the infrastructure in place. So what our commission regulates is what infrastructure is needed for now and in the future, rates, so what will the ratepayers pay? And we are definitely looking into the future to new technologies. In my 6 to 7 weeks on the commission, it's been like cramming for finals every day. It's been so interesting learning about the different parameters, the rules and regulations we put in place that impact future industry, attracting business to the state of Arizona. It's been very interesting, and I'm learning just a ton.
Okay, without violating your top secret clearance.
That's right.
Okay. What can you tell us is like the most fascinating thing that you've learned about in the last 6 weeks that will really give us food for thought as we sort of marinate and contemplate how we can play an active role in supporting you in your new role?
Yeah, you've got to think, I'm coming to this role with my own perspective, right? So small business owner, grew up here in southern Arizona. I'm the only southern Arizona person in a statewide role in our state.
Is that true?
That's true, yeah.
Wait. Dial that back. And how many leadership positions
So if you think
voted in and appointed? How many are we talking
So if
here?
you think from governor, secretary of state, treasurer, attorney general, and then the corporation commissioners, these are all statewide, and there are 5 of us as commissioners. So
I don't know. That's 10 people we just mentioned.
And I'm the only one from Southern Arizona, not from Maricopa County.
So
that's a different perspective as I come to this. Also, with a small business kind of chamber of commerce background, probably the most surprising thing that I came home and told my husband, did you know, was that there are more than 300 private water companies in our state.
No, I had no idea.
Yeah. I mean, so we grew up here, and I know Tucson Water because that's what I grew up on. But water companies in the state are from mom and pops, very small, maybe one employee, managing the water for 300 homes in a subdivision, to very large entities. So my small business background, I'm definitely interested in how do we make these sustainable organizations? How do we ensure that we're providing safe, reliable, affordable water? There's so much to that. It's very complex, but interesting.
I mean, I think we're all looking at each other in the room like, huh? I feel like Scooby. Like you just said, something really perked my ears up here. So you mean to tell me that when we turn on our faucet, we're not all getting water from the same company?
Correct. So here, this will blow your mind a little bit, but there are 1,500 water companies in the state. If you count the cities and municipalities that run our water system, 300 of them, though, are private, and that's what we regulate. So if you were to buy a piece of land...
So you're telling me there are 300 companies that act like the utility, the waterworks.
They are a water utility, yes.
Do you have a choice who you go with, or is it by your location?
That's a very good question. So one of the hot issues in front of the Arizona Corporation Commission is electricity deregulation, retail competition. Haven't had that conversation around water, but a lot of people argue you don't have a choice now. So whatever community you move into, and I won't get too wonky on you, but they have a territory, and they provide the water for that territory. So they come before Arizona Corporation Commission. They are monopolies, the electric and the water.
So we couldn't choose to go with a mom and pop provider if we wanted to at this point.
You cannot.
And there's no water equivalent of putting a solar panel on your roof to be some kind of sign of I mean, we could have cisterns and we can do all the things, and
rainwater harvesting.
Lord knows we should do more of that, but there's no equivalent of a solar panel for the water that we can.
Yeah. So think as a commissioner, I'm beholden to the citizens, right? And so how do I ensure that it's good water quality, that when you turn on the tap, you have the right pressure?
Is there a standard that you apply to all 300 companies and say you have to make sure our water doesn't become Flint, Michigan water?
Absolutely. So we have a very strong Arizona Department of Environmental Quality. They are in charge of water quality, just to generalize. We have this Arizona Department of Water Resources, and then we have the Arizona Corporation Commission, which I'm on, which regulates the rates. So, I mean, that whole conversation you had at the beginning on how the engine runs, I'm here as a Tucsonan, as a Southern Arizonan, to say, pay attention. We've got big decisions being made, and oftentimes in my history as a chamber president, I would go to Phoenix, serve on different boards, but I'd be the only one there from Southern Arizona. And I'd represent Santa Cruz County, Cochise County, Pima County, whatever perspective I could bring from the Hispanic chamber. But it's important that we're staying ahead of these issues.
This is some of the most fascinating conversation we've had in a long time. I know everyone in the studio, because we come from a little bit less terrestrial point of view when we start our conversations. But what a great place to bring us back to how we are all here now together. And our present depends on all of this. Will you come back regularly and share bits and pieces
I would love
of
to.
how the mechanism of this works? I think it's fascinating. Of course, the question that I have, and my New England brother Jeffrey and I are probably very similar in this, because there's lots of water around in New England, right? You go up in Canada, they're so wealthy in water that they can afford to sell 1 million gallons to Nestle Co. for a penny. I mean, that's how crazy the numbers are there. We're not in that same place. When there are 300 private companies coming to this place and competing with the municipalities, the 1,200 municipalities and municipally driven water organizations, I have to ask, is it a good business? Is the water a good business for the corporations that are coming to this area and that are under the auspices of the Arizona Corporation Commission?
And that's a good question. I keep saying that's the crux of an issue I'm in the middle of right now, which I can talk about without getting in trouble. There are water companies, as I mentioned, that are mom and pops all the way to very large and better organized. But we've got to ensure that they are providing safe, reliable water to your community, to your home, to your business, whatever it is. small businesses struggle. You know how hard it is to run a small business, as I do.
Yep.
So I'm poking around there. I am asking a lot of questions. I want to ensure that small water utilities have the resources they need, and they're also providing this at a gradual increase to ratepayers and not some rate shock 20 years later when they come in for a rate case. So I think we have work to do with the small water companies.
We're talking with Lea Marquez-Peterson, newly appointed member of the Arizona Corporation Commission, and we are learning, in fact, the only Southern Arizonan on statewide seat, either voted in or appointed, and we are thrilled that you're here to shine light and educate and illuminate for us. And what you might not realize what you're doing is you are inspiring us. You are giving us seeds, and we're planting them that are going to turn into inspirations for us, that are going to become intentions for us, that are going to be things that we will talk about and think about. Some of us will pray on it. Some of us will actually do more. There will be shifts that happen because the seeds that we're planting today are doing things that we can't even conceive of, because the one amazing thing is when we undertake to participate and we do so without an expectation of what the end result is going to be, and when we take, you know that idea, there is no ceiling, take the ceiling off, there will be a lot there for us. We're going to take a very quick break. It's 2:20 p.m. and you are listening to us live from the City of Gastronomy. This is Around the Table, AM 1030, The Voice, trusted local news and talk. We'll be back with more right after this. 2:24 p.m. and this is lunchtime. Having a nice late lazy lunch, right? It's hot. Just want to linger around the table. So we ordered some pie. We have 3 kinds of pie, and we're having little bites. And I'm having little Weight Watchers size bite, sharing with you. And the key lime pie is really good. We're having blueberry pie because, as a native New Englander, I have to say this time of year is just the best pie you'll ever have in your life is a summer blueberry pie in Maine. This is a close second. And then we've got some peach and raspberry pie, all thanks to our friends at the Beeline. Bev Wood is here in the studios with us today, and we're thrilled she's here with us as one of the partners and directors at the International BioTouch Foundation and is a practitioner. I'm still working on the language of understanding how to introduce you to people because we're having a bit of an introduction today with new ideas. It's all part of the shift that takes place every day when you align your intentions with what comes next, which is a really powerful way of making everything better. How do you want me to introduce you moving forward?
Oh, Lord.
My friend?
The amazing Bev.
My friend would be good. I think I would just sum it all up. I'm a spiritual teacher.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I use astrology and I use my counseling and I use this and I use that. But I guess I'm a spiritual teacher. Yeah.
Well, my friend, the spiritual teacher, Bev Wood, is here, and Ariane Maldonado, who is herself a super hyphenate. Lea, you're going to love this.
No.
Longer hyphenate than me, huh?
No, you are a super hyphenate. Let's just talk about it. First of all, you are an amazing woman.
Aww.
You are an extraordinary mother of 5.
Wow.
You are a private detective.
Mm-hmm.
You are a business owner of multiple businesses, including the proprietor of the brand new Shimon Center, which is a place for healing arts to be shared with moms, new moms, prenatal, postnatal,
Mm-hmm.
all on its own, an astonishing array. And you happen to be a Reiki master. You happen to have a gift with the mystic work that you do with counseling and with the cards, with the tarot. And I've run out of time because now I need to go to my next guest. But, in Hollywood, we have a producer, writer, director, superstar. You do have a few
Now I'm
things. You're working on a
embarrassed.
few things. You were working on a few things, I'm just saying.
Yeah,
So,
there's a few things
there's a few
going on. Mm-hmm.
Well, welcome.
Thank
And
you.
I'm thrilled to be able to give you the chance to tell people about Shimon Center because Shimon Center is a brand new place. And it's one of just, I'm going to guess, dozens of new businesses that are opening in this moment of growth that is Tucson's moment.
Yeah.
Why now? Why did you feel now is the moment to take the plunge and open a business?
Well, remember I told you the story of Shimon. There's a planet that in about 5 years ago, they discovered off the edge of it, hiding around the corner, was a little tiny shy moon that no one ever knew that was waiting to be discovered. And I feel like that's why I chose that name, because all of these things inside me, it was just waiting for the right time for them to come out. And so tarot is my way to share my gift with people and help people and guide them and counsel them. But my newfound love of Reiki is my way to incorporate my 11 years of education and experience with working with pregnant women and being pregnant for 1 million years. So the Shimon Center kind of incorporates that mind and body connection. And those are my 2 ways of giving back to people.
And our good friend, my longtime friend, Lea Marquez-Peterson, is here in the studios, for which we are enormously grateful. She is a newly appointed member, thank you, Governor Ducey, to the Arizona Corporation Commission. And as the only Southern Arizonan, as we learned today, representing our interests, for which I have to tell you, I can't think of somebody I'd rather have there shooting for us.
Oh,
Thank you. I
Thanks.
appreciate it. Shocking to learn all the things that we're learning because there is so much that happens through the Arizona Corporation Commission. You gave us a great example of what's happening with the water companies. You could come back and talk about water once a month, and we could do an entire hour on it because it's so critical to the agriculture and the other businesses and industries that we have. That's a kind of micro look at a big thing. What's the big macro thing that you've seen that has been really surprising to you, that has been as water simple, essential surprising to you?
Probably how the electric system works with the utilities in our state. So we here know Tucson Electric Power, Unisource. In Phoenix, they know APS, SRP. But there are other electric companies throughout the state also, and they are a monopoly around a certain territory of the state because they've done incredible generation and transmission and distribution of electricity. And think how dependent we are on electricity.
Yeah.
I mean, the internet, the direction industry's going, besides a life and death issue if the air conditioner goes out or things of that nature. So, I mean, it's been interesting just how important electricity is and how it's regulated in the state and the role we have as the Arizona Corporation Commission in that.
Now, since we talked to you last, and you and I have occasion to sort of socially see each other once in a while, and I'm always happy to see you, and I've known you a long time through business club and other things. You have got another new role. So we're kind of double dipping today.
Yes.
And I'm grateful that you're letting us do a little double dipping. There is because I think people still associate you with the Hispanic Chamber.
Right. I was there almost 10 years.
Well, you were there a long time, and you did an awful lot to take it into the future where we now live. You brought us here. So it's kind of hard for people to imagine that there's a similar but not exactly the same kind of role that you have today. And I want to give you the chance to tell us all about what you're doing with NAWBO.
No, so after running for Congress, winning in the primary, losing the general, I decided to resign from the Tucson Hispanic Chamber after so much time there and thought, ready for a new adventure. So I launched my own public affairs, kind of community relations business as a solopreneur and started out there doing business development, reaching out to clients. And in doing so, becoming an entrepreneur again, I've had multiple businesses in the past. I thought immediately, where is NAWBO, the National Association of Women Business Owners? I was president of the NAWBO chapter here in Tucson in 2003, so way before I was involved with the Hispanic Chamber, and had seen it grow and shift and so on over time. When I looked for NAWBO just in January, it had folded. It was no longer here, and was very sad about that. Because I knew NAWBO and knew their strength nationally, I reached out to the national organization.
And what a great resource it is for business owners.
And said, what does it take to get this restarted? And so in March or so, we relaunched the NAWBO Greater Tucson area. We now are up to 30 members, which is great in just a few months, and we are growing rapidly. And the goal of NAWBO, different from a chamber or Rotary or BNI or any organization like that, and which I certainly know the difference of, I've been members of all of those, is that we are focused on growing and scaling our businesses. Very internal focused, very focused on membership. This will not be an organization like our Hispanic Chamber that we grew to 1,800 members. If we can hit 100, 200 in size and just really focus on growing and scaling, that's the goal. Not so much selling widgets or services to one another. We can advise each other in that. But I know being a business owner, sometimes it can be lonely. You're looking for someone to advise or coach you, and you've got to turn to a peer. And so that's what NAWBO is providing in this community. And Tucson was too large to not have NAWBO engaged. So very thankful to the 29 other women who have joined NAWBO. You don't have to be a woman and you don't have to be a business owner, but that's our focus. And people can learn more just by going to NAWBO, which is NAWBO.org.
What's the mission of NAWBO?
It's really to propel women entrepreneurship in social, political, economic spheres throughout the world. They do things internationally, and we're localizing that here in the Tucson market.
And I know that because of your roles, you are uniquely qualified to speak to this. Let's talk about the role of women business ownership in Southern Arizona. I think it's important to make people aware of the fact that there are hard numbers talking about what we do in this community. What percentage of businesses are owned by women, and what percentage of new businesses like Michelle's are owned by women or started by women entrepreneurs?
Yeah, I'll guesstimate it's about 40% of businesses here that are women-owned. The challenge, though, is a lot of the women-owned businesses, much like the Hispanic-owned businesses, are micro-business, smaller, started with personal credit cards or family dollars. So not as many, and that's a challenge, access to capital, in getting those commercial loans or starting with an SBA loan or a Small Business Administration loan or whatever it looks like. So we have some different challenges in place. Procurement, which means how you sell to the government or large corporate America. has a much smaller percentage of women-owned businesses engaged. That's an area we need to work on. So you also asked about startups. One of the fastest growing business segments in the nation are actually Hispanic women throughout the country, which is very interesting with my background with Hispanic Chamber and now NABO.
So you're the right person at the right place at the right time.
There's so many. I'm sure if your listener sat there right now and thought, do I know a woman business owner? Absolutely. Everybody out there knows someone who may not be their full-time job. Maybe they're doing it at night or on the weekends, or they're a startup, or they've started something online. So we are in place as kind of that foundation or that backbone for women business owners who really need that step and that advice on where to go next and how do I grow and how do I add my first employee, and whether it's technical assistance or really just peer-to-peer advising.
I love this. I love that you're doing this, and I love that you're coming here to share this with us. Let's open up the phone lines, 520-790-2040, 520-790-2040. And we are going to invite your calls and questions for Lea Marquez-Peterson, one of our friends in the business of making Arizona an awesome place to call home. We're going to take a very quick break, and when we come back, we will have more live from the City of Gastronomy. This is Around the Table. AM 1030 The Voice, trusted local news and talk, where the local news is the local talk, and the local talk is the local news. We'll be right back. 2:41 p.m. and we are live in the City of Gastronomy. This is Around the Table with America's most interesting and influential tastemakers, newsmakers, lawmakers, style makers, movers, shakers, healers, foodies, and friends hanging out here around our table, drinking a little coffee, eating a little pie. Well, eating a little bit more than a little bit of pie. We save the seat at the head of the table for our guest of honor each and every day, and that's you. I'm thrilled when you call and join us. 520 is our area code. 520-790-2040. We are thrilled and honored. We're privileged, really, to be here sharing this time together, bringing women's voices to the airwaves. I am acutely aware and really honored to be one of the women on this broadcast station, representing this incredible community. Joining me today is my friend Lea Marquez-Peterson in her new role as commissioner on the Arizona Corporation Commission and as the president of the National Association of Women Business Owners Tucson Chapter. Welcome back.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for having me.
Bev Wood joins us as well as the director of the International BioTouch Foundation. That is an international organization headquartered right here in Tucson, Arizona. Bev, welcome back.
Thank you.
And my good friend, Ariane Maldonado, who is here from Black Horse Investigations, one of the great private detective firms in the world. By the way, so Lea, did you hear what happened this week in her world?
Was it the international press?
Yes.
I did hear that. I was listening to the show on the way in.
Okay, so...
Wow. Honored to be in the studio with you.
So I'm going to paraphrase the story, but
Sure.
I should let you tell the story. My friend Ariane is rolling down the road, listening to the radio, and hears the story about the Tucson Goodwill employee who finds a Purple Heart medal. Take it from there, Ariane.
And I quickly shushed my children and called my husband and said, I'm going to meet you at work and we're going to find this family. And 6 hours later, we were knocking on their door having coffee.
Wow.
We
I had
found the
no
family.
idea that was your firm. I
That's
did
us.
read that
Aw.
in various newspapers.
That is us.
And that's why
Yeah.
people should hire your firm.
Absolutely.
Private
Thank
detective
you.
I know what else
expertise.
is cool. So then Martha McSally came,
So
and we've
that
got a
was
whole
Tuesday,
thing going on.
And on Friday, we all met up at the Goodwill to congratulate the boy who found it, the man who found it. And we met Martha McSally, and she
Wow.
presented the medal back to the family, and she actually gave me a hug. It's on camera, so I approve. It was super
She's
cool.
wonderful. That's great.
Yeah, so it was a really amazing thing, and the family's amazing, and it's just been a really cool experience.
Yeah, that's great. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Wow.
And isn't that cool?
Yeah.
So like you know, this is the kind of thing where you come hang out with us, and you go home and you say, "Guess who I sat and had a little bit of
I
lunch
know.
with
I will
today?"
tell that story to my children and my husband tonight.
Because it's a
That's
cool
neat.
thing.
Yeah.
There's a little serendipity. There's a little magic that happens in Tucson that I think our friends in Phoenix like to poo-poo. I think they like to discount the fact that we've got something really special happening here. The fact of the matter is, there's a reason why we're a UNESCO International City of Gastronomy. It has nothing to do with the fact that you can get great food today all over the place. It has everything to do with the fact that for 4,000 years, people have been coming to this place, that there's something sacred and timeless about this place. I'm going to open this up to everybody that's on our panel today and ask them, why is Tucson so special? What is it about Tucson that is so special?
Can I just add here, because we're new here. We've only lived here 3 years, and we did a short year stint 11 years ago. But what we noticed of all the places we've lived is we felt welcome here. There's places that we have lived that didn't welcome newcomers. And here we've always been welcomed. We never felt like an outsider.
So I would define that as familia, right?
Yeah,
Family.
yeah.
I think it's that feel here as well as the culture. I mean, we're 1 hour from the border. That certainly has an impact on the Hispanic culture. You can see my Hispanic chamber roots coming out here, but we're more than 35% of the community. And I think that culture really is intertwined with so much of Tucson.
Yeah. How do you explain that cultural taste of place?
When folks come to the Hispanic Chamber in the past when I was there, we would get questions for everything. The hardest one is tell me the best Mexican restaurant in town. But we would tell people you can feel that by so many of our attractions, by the history that we've got, whether it's the San Javier Mission or other historical spots around our community. Visiting the Desert Museum, which is internationally known, which talks so much about not only the animals, but the plants and herbs and things people ate to survive on in the past and use in food products today, which you're more an expert on than I am. And then we have more than 500 Mexican restaurants in this community. I heard John Mabry speak this week about the City of Gastronomy.
He was on with us yesterday.
Oh, was he? Okay. And I don't know him, but I was really impressed with his talk. I think he said 63% of the restaurants here are locally owned, independent owned.
Mm-hmm.
Can't say that in Phoenix, I'm sure. You can't say that in many communities across the nation.
Well, one of the things I know we do here particularly well, and it's kind of a woo-woo thing and people might not understand it. That's why we talk about it, because we got to make it a little more normalized. It's that people cook with love. You knew it in your family. You just can't imagine that you go to a restaurant and say, how can you put love in the food? You don't know me.
Right.
How can you be a restaurant? But I guarantee you, anybody that eats at El Charro, Carlotta loves every single person in those places and puts love in the intention of her great love in that food for you.
I think it's even the history in her recipes that came from her great aunt and were passed down to her family. Her sons, her daughter are now running a lot of the business in various capacities, new brands that have come up. I think you see that love throughout the generations.
Right. It's something that is irrefutable. It's essential. It's what makes this place not taste like any other place on the planet. It's what makes this literally one of the most delicious cities in the world. But when we look at the designation of the City of Gastronomy, and we look at the fact that for 4,000 years people have been coming here, they've been called to come here. Mm-hmm. Called to come here. Bev, I love that you're nodding and you're smiling at me with those twinkling eyes because because when we talk about these things when we start erasing time, and we're no different than the people that were here 4,000 years ago growing food. We weren't just growing food. We were coming here to then cook food and then share food. And food was our medicine. And we were cultivating things that would become our medicines and our health and our wellness. Mm-hmm. So everything that we are today is really not that different than it was 4,000 years ago. And we're one of the few places that has that history that we can point to and say, look at who we are.
So I would just like to interject a little spiritual thing. So we all know the desert is a symbol of something. It's a symbol of purification. It's a symbol of finding yourself.
Talk a little bit more about that, because I think it's a concept that's still a somewhat new one in some ways, and yet we go back to the Bible and,
We have illustration of that. In my personal experience here, I have talked to so many people, and the story is the same. So let me just say this. When I first moved here, there was a spiritual awareness journal that was around, and I remember reading this editorial. And in it, she said that there's something about Tucson for this new age. It is a vortex that people are coming to. They don't even know why. And I experienced that personally. When I was interviewing some people to do a retreat I held years ago, and she's like, I came here to visit somebody, and when I had to leave, I started crying. And 6 weeks later, I moved here, but I still don't know why I'm here. So it's not that we need to know why we're here. I think we're all trying to find where we're needed. And this is an amazing, energized place on the planet. That's what Tucson is going to hold as we move forward in this shifting that we were talking about earlier.
And we have people like Lea who are holding this very sacred space for these business owners who will come here and maybe not even know why this is the market that on paper might not make as much sense, but something is telling them they need to open their business here. They need to open Shimon centers. They need to open the business that they're just really inspired to open.
That's right.
And join things like NABO so that they can integrate into a support structure that is going to help explain to them and reveal to them so that they can discover why it was they felt called to come here and be here and do their things here.
We're all trying to find our group. This is the new thought. We're not no longer, we're moving out of what I was talking about earlier this week. We're moving out of this age of being separated from each other and moving into a new age of inclusiveness, and we're trying to find our groups.
You're so right, Bev, because like I said earlier, we've moved a lot. And when I first discovered my tarot gift, we were living in a place that would not have been accepting of it. And I had to kind of keep it on the down low. It wasn't until we moved here that I actually came out of the tarot closet and shared it with the world. I didn't feel safe to do so when we lived in the other places.
You know, and I think a lot of times people are surprised. In Tucson, we have 2 internationally known resorts, Miraval and Canyon Ranch.
Yes.
And I've been on cruise ships Canyon Ranch is on, or you watch Oprah and she's bringing everyone to Miraval.
That's right.
People have no idea they're in Tucson, and why? Because I think it's that energy or that sense of nature and place and culture that Miraval and Canyon Ranch have grown from here, that people are shocked that they're both in Tucson.
Well, you travel around the world and talk to people from all over the world. And as somebody who literally is one of our ambassadors to go out and represent Tucson in all the roles that you've been, really generous in taking on our behalf. And we should say thank you to your family and your kids for sharing you with the world on all our behalf. When you go out and talk to people, do you find that people recognize that Tucson has this really healing, restorative kind of energy to it, that for those of us that have to do any kind of healing, that any of us, we just don't move as fast as other places. We're not like go, 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 go the same way as other places. We're here in a very contemplative, very healing, restorative kind of way. When I first came here from my native New England, I said that Tucson reminded me of all my favorite places before they became spoiled by New Yorkers. I didn't mean to pick on the New Yorkers, but as a Bostonian, I can say that. Places like Martha's Vineyard or the coast of Maine. Places that when you went there, they just felt a certain way. I felt that when I came here. Do you, when you go out and talk to people in the world, encounter people saying things like that? When you have guests come and visit you here from all over the world, do they see that and feel that?
I think when I'm outside of Tucson, whether it's in the state or throughout the nation or other places, they aren't aware of the great things in Tucson. And maybe some of that is purposeful. I think a lot of us that are here and historically have been here have been not so open to growth, let's say. I think Tucson has a slower pace. I think that those of us that live here have made an intentional decision to live here. I mean, many of us could make more money, could launch larger businesses, could whatever if we were elsewhere. And I've made a decision to live in Tucson.
Because you are happier.
Yeah, and I like the lifestyle, the culture, the food. To me, it's family here. My family lives here. Even if they didn't, Tucson is that
and we
familial
should say
connection.
you have a very distinguished family of accomplishment in this community as well. I mean, we should remind people. Tell everybody a little bit about your remarkable family.
Yeah, I don't know. My family's from the Clifton-Morenci area. So we're a family of entrepreneurs. My dad had his own business. My mother, she's very involved in the Hispanic Chamber. Both my parents. My brother is
remind everybody
super involved.
Remind everybody about their businesses, because your dad was on TV for a long time, and he's really a beloved figure in this community.
No, he had an Allstate insurance agency for 35 years that he sold to my brother later in life. My mother had Catalina Players, which is a community theater group, which got her very active. She's a big lover of theater. My brother, Edmund Marquez, is now an Allstate insurance agency by day, but he is MC extraordinaire by night and MCs most of the nonprofit organizations.
Kind of picked up where Dave Sitton left off.
I'd say so. And Edmund's now chairing the United Way board. He's involved in all of these different high-profile groups. So, yeah, really incredible. My husband is CEO of a health company here in town, Valor Health. Very engaged. So very proud of what our family has done and engaged in. My sister-in-law is very involved in Angel Charities. So I think we're a family that really believes in engaging and giving back. Most all the roles we have are volunteer, except for our day jobs, of course, and we believe in getting involved.
We're going to turn to the phones, 520-790-2040. And caller number 3 right now, we have a 20-minute tarot reading with Ariane Maldonado at the Shy Moon Center. She is giving us this wonderful prize to give away. Caller number 3 right now, 520-790-2040, 20-minute tarot reading. What does that involve? Say if somebody doesn't know what this means. Say somebody's a little bit curious and excited but scared. Like, What
As an example, I've never had a tarot reading, so please explain
it. Oh my gosh. Well, you are going to stop by and we're going to do it.
Okay.
So just think of it like you're sitting around having a conversation with a friend. If you have a question or dilemma, fine, we can talk about that, or we can just kind of see what the universe has to say, what energy you've got out there, and we tell a story through the pictures. I tell you what I see in the pictures. But where I think I'm different than other tarot readers is I include you. I ask you, what do you see? What do you feel when you see that card? And then I build upon that because I always like to say this: the cards never lie. Never, never, never. The cards will not lie. I might not know your story and where to fit it in, but you will. And so together we can create this bigger picture, and hopefully you leave feeling a little lighter, a little better, like you have a plan. But it's really just a way to kind of connect with your innermost self and gain some clarity. And we do it like friends.
And you have the cards laid out here.
Because I want you to pick one.
Oh, you want me to pick one?
I want you to pick one. Because today you're going to pick one. All right. Oh, Jennifer.
What did I choose?
Uh-oh.
No, she got the Justice card.
Really?
You did. The balancing of the scales, the fairness, justice in the world, in your personal situations or the bigger picture. This is a great card. This is just saying, balance. There will be, it might not make sense today or tomorrow, but in the big picture, there is balance in the world.
I love that.
I know.
And that makes me feel hopeful on so many levels.
So many levels. And you chose that.
I chose that.
You chose it, not me.
You know what? Can I have my friend Lea pick one?
Absolutely.
Uh-oh.
Are you game?
I am.
But Lea,
it doesn't have a skull on it or anything.
It might, but I'm going to...
No.
You know what?
No.
I'm going to pass the deck to you, and while I want you to put a little love in it. Just shuffle it around, move it.
Her own love.
Put your own love.
Bev, let's tell everybody where the International BioTouch Center is while we're getting ready. We've got about 1 minute left. Thank you for... We got a winner, 520-790-2040, 520-790. Caller number 3, we have a 20-minute tarot reading with Ariane Maldonado at the Shimon Center.
Oh, that is a fabulous one. Okay, so she chose the 8 of Pentacles.
Ooh.
And the Pentacles are all about manifestation, life, love, family, and honing your skills.
Mm-hmm.
Great.
Practicing
That is
your
so
craft.
perfect.
That's
Lea
wonderful.
Marquez-Peterson, will you come back and bring some of
Absolutely.
your Nabo friends
I'd
with
be
you?
honored.
I would love to have you come back.
Absolutely.
It's fun having you here. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bev Wood, I love you. Thank you. And Ariane,
Thank you.
thank you very much. As we wrap up this week, we will be back on Monday with the incredible Ramon Valadez and his power of positive thinking. We're going to be back, and have a great weekend, everybody. And when you get home, do me this favor. Hug your kids and count your blessings. Have a great weekend and stay cool. Cheers.